Hey guys, how's it going? Hope all is well in your part of the world, and welcome back, of course, to the Time Bomb channel. So we're going with a new brand for the channel today. This is from BOWMAN. They are a micro brand hailing out of London, with, as you'll see, some very clear defined design influences. The watch that we have in today for review is their new release chrono. This is the Marine Chronometer Mark II Ref 1748. Full disclosure, this has been lent to me by Paul, the owner of the company. As I was referenced there, so it's a loan watch only, and we'll be going back to him. And clearly, this is not a paid review. The reason I'm happy to share this one on the channel, though, is that I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of the brand in the future, because whilst at present Paul is running everything himself, he has some very big projects coming up that I think that are going to help catapult the brand upwards and raise a lot of awareness around it. Just before I get into the specs, though, on the Marine Chrono, a quick bit of an intro to the brand. They currently have two other models up for sale. Firstly, here we've got the Royal Sea Tank. This one sells for £185. It's an auto diver style, running a Myoda, which I think looks quite classy. And then the HMS1, great name for a watch, is a quartz diver style that is more of a humbler daily wearer, coming in at just £70. Looks to me to be probably a little too stylish to be a true beta watch, but anyway, each to their own. Paul, like many of us, is clearly a confessed watch nutter, and I reckon I must have walked past him in the pub, because I used to live in Greenwich as well, where he and the company are based. He tells me he spent quite a while working in submarine engineering technology, and he's clearly taking a lot of his refs from the Greenwich area, which has an omnipresent marine history seeping through all the foundations of the buildings and the landmarks in the village, especially for those of us interested in timekeeping. Paul BOWMAN watches then are also the sponsors of the Royal Marines Judo Championships 2022 this November, and look out then for a limited edition Royal Marines watch release coming up soon, and then also a wristwatch collaboration with Airbus helicopters. As I said before, this is why I think the brand is certainly going to be going places. We just pause the camera and focus in so we can get up close with this one. So, as I suggested before, this is the Marine Chronometer Mark II Ref 1748. These are going to go on sale for, I think it's £195, and my understanding is that they're only going to come in this colourway. I could be wrong, because the web release even showed these with a stainless steel bezel, so I could be wrong. Maybe you've got the option to choose black or steel on those bezels. The main design cues for this watch have then come from a clockmaker from the 1700s, none other than John Harrison, who brought us the H1 here as he took on the longitude challenge. And then moving up onto this rather unassuming H4, the pocket watch, but it set itself apart from other pocket watches of the time because it ticked at 5 times per second. So clearly a gentleman with a man on a mission. This rather robust chrono, I think, obviously is made obviously then from 316 stainless steel. Give you some key specs. We're looking at 42 mils across. We're going to extend that out a little bit with those crown and pushers. It's then a very manageable 12 mils deep, 50 mils north to south, but you'll also notice those mail-in links will just push it over a little bit, but they are very curvy, so it sits very well on wrist. I'll throw it on wrist a little bit later on. Buzzing away inside, we've got the well-known, tried and tested VK64 Mecha quartz. Not going to provide you with any issues there at all. Got a flat sapphire up top. Don't think there's any AR, or maybe there's some AR on that one. I can't see the colour one. You've got screw down crown and then screw down pushers as well on the chrono. Let me just move that out. I'll pop this over at the 10 to 2. It's just a little easier then to see the hands and everything moving around. You can also then see subdials also. Okay, so nice affirmative push there on the chrono, and off it tricks off around. My favourite bit then obviously is the return of the chrono second to see how it perfect, spot on, very nice. Nice to see screw downs on these chrono pushers, because obviously then that contributes to its watery goodness, which, if I'm not mistaken, on this one is 200 meters. Looking at the dial though, as I saw that chrono hand come back up, to me that bezel looks a little squint, so you can see the 120 at the 6 and the 60 at the 12. Now, it could be that I believe that this is a prototype of the watch, so I imagine that that will be fixed with those that will be sold through the website. Onto the back, so we've got a signed butterfly style deploying clasp here, and then our referencing logo engraved into the back, and then so as I said, so it's 200 meters worth of watery goodness. Nice. I don't usually favour the deployants. I much prefer the clasps on mine, but it does keep it quite flush or narrow in that sense, and flatter in the horizontal perspective also. I referenced those lugs, the male end links earlier, because they do protrude just a fraction. And I think, as you can see here, those lugs are really, really nice and curvy and very, very flat underneath. Let me throw it on wrist while I'm talking about that. Rocking the Citizen Tough today. Very different concept of watch, of course. 1 second, let me just throw this on wrist. This is, as I say, prototype, so it's unsized for my wrist. Mine's 7¼ inch wrist, so you've got ample space there if you're up to an 8-inch wrist. I think it sits very nice and flat. As I say, those curves on those lugs really, really nice and angular, and I think they just help accommodate those male end links there. Clearly, if you've got a 6-inch wrist, that might be an issue, because I think those end links will protrude over the edges of your wrist a little bit. Weight on this unsized bracelet is 177 grams, so it does have some wrist presence, but obviously for me that's going to be close to 150 by the time I pop out some links. The loom on this one looks like this at dusk, and then a little bit later on, here it is in the dark. I think it works perfectly well. You've got loom exactly where you need it, but the website doesn't say what type of loom is used on their watches, and personally I think that many of us would actually like to know what kind of loom is used, because we're all loom nutters and we sit there and watch it in the dark. The dial then obviously featuring this light grey sunburst. Really shines very, very, very positively indeed, and I like the contrast there with the specifically with the 6 marker and then the logo there up at the 12. I think it works very well in contrast with the subdials also. I think that color palette really, very nice. But in the sunlight, and also in some of the camera, and as you'll see as I'm filming here, that grey almost does appear a little bit like a champagne color. So it changes quite a lot. Something else to look for. A watch then that I think offers some serious value for money, and it's from a MICROBRAND that I think is certainly going to be going places within the next few years. But anyway, that's just my take on the watch as always. Over to you guys. What are your thoughts on this one? Really appreciate your comments. Massive thanks to Paul at Paul Bowman for this loaner. It's really great to get a new MICROBRAND on the channel, and of course I'm wishing the brand every success in the future. Just give you a last overview and thought on the watch. I did also notice as I was trying it on there's a little bit of wiggle in that bracelet, but again, as I say, this is a prototype, so it might be a little harsh to judge it in that sense. But I mean, it's very, very smooth. There's no rough edges anywhere. I think the QC on this one is good, and hopefully they can just get that bezel just exactly at the 12 and the 6, just to make sure us OCD nutters are satisfied. I didn't talk about the rehort, did I? I love that bare steel inside there. Really, really, really pretty. Looks great on wrist. Comes in at a very good price. Wishing these guys every success in the future. If you own one of their watches as well, it'd be great to hear your thoughts and comments. And that's a wrap for today, guys. Thanks as always for your time and for your view. And of course, until the next bit, this is your host, the Bombardier, signing off. Cheers, guys.